this is the one of the last topic in your Android programming. We have covered almost everything that we plan to cover. Now, in today's example, we will cover broadcast intents. You already know about intents, but broadcast intents are different. And today, with our example of photo gallery that we have been building, we will use some broadcast intent. So you will learn how to listen for broadcast intent from the system and how to handle such intents using a broadcast receiver. An example of a broadcast intent is your battery going low. So let's start. Let's start with some theory that is difference between regular intent versus broadcast intents. So one thing that you must know is that there's always something is going on in your Android system. For example, your Wi-Fi is getting connected or maybe disconnected. Maybe some packages are getting installed. Maybe you are receiving a phone call or text messages are coming and going. And when many components on the system need to know that some event has occurred, Android uses a broadcast intent to tell everyone about it. For example, every application may want to know if the phone is going for a battery saver mode. So this is what the broadcast intents are. Intent, you have already seen that intent is a message object which one of the component of a program can send to another component to invoke it. So like intents can be used to invoke an activity, to invoke a service, etc. So broadcast intents are something which are sent by system and which can be heard by many, or in fact which can be heard by all. So now let us do a little bit of coding so that we understand how to handle these broadcast intents and how to make use of them. So now we will go back to our program of the photo gallery and we will now modify it to have the broadcast intent in it. So the first thing that we will start is that we will start by creating and registering a receiver for these intents. So let us first create a new Java file. So new Java class, we'll call it startup receiver. And this should extend broadcast receiver private static final string tag equal to startup receiver, and then we just override method called public void on receive. So context intent. So our standard very basic receiver is now ready. So we can just say that received broadcast intent or get action. So uh, when a broadcast intent is broadcasted, uh, this receiver will receive it and it will go into the on receive method, as you can make a guess. Now let us hook up this receiver in our manifest file so that our app knows which receiver to use, and this is our only receiver, so that is not a problem. Number one, that we will have to uses permission Android permission receive boot completed, and you will have to also add after the service you will have to also add a receiver. So add a receiver, Android name startup receiver, because this is the only one, so Android system can figure it out. And then we do intent filter, and the action, Android name, Android intent action, boot completed. So we have added our receiver into the manifest file, and so we will be listening for the boot completed action, and this action also require permission, so we included the permission. So with your broadcast receiver declared, it will now wake up anytime a matching broadcast intent is sent, and as you can see that it will be listening for the intent call boot completed. So time to verify it. So first run the your application. Yes. So this is our application. So let us kill the maybe let us switch it off, and then let us turn it back on. Okay, no, so this will not switch off. Yeah, so this, let's switch it off. Let's start it again. While it is starting, I will select Android device monitor. So Android device monitor. Let's click on our device in the devices tab. So this is our device, and now let us search for our broadcast intent. So we had made a so let's very quickly see the actual message. So this was our message. Control C. Let's type it. Control V. So it does not seem to show any message, which is surprising. Let's keep it here, kill the application. I am going to close the window, then I am starting it again. System processes and Clockcat. Yeah, so now you can see that our application received the broadcast intent. So we got the boot completed intent as soon as the boot was completed, and our program received it. So that's what I wanted to show you. Now you saw that that this is a very useful feature of Android, because now I can use this feature to, for example, to create an alarm that is recurring, because I know that even after the boot is completed, some part of my program is going to run after the boot is completed. So at the same time, I cannot do much because the broadcast receiver lives only for the length of the on receive, but still I can do quite a lot of work by setting, maybe starting some activity or maybe starting some services by using broadcast receivers. So let's do something like this. We will try to use our broadcast receiver to make sure that the alarm is on. So just to show the concepts, private static. So we go into the query preferences, we do string pref is alarm on equal to is alarm on public nick static boolean is alarm on context return preference manager get default shared preferences context dot get boolean pref is alarm on false and then a setter public static boolean sorry void, because we are doing a setter method here, set alarm on context boolean is on and preference manager dot get default shared preference context dot edit dot put boolean is alarm on is on dot apply. Now we will go and update. Is an error. Okay. Now we will go and update the poll service set service alarm to write to standard to shared preferences when alarm is set. So we go to set service alarm, come down here, and we just say query preference dot set alarm on context is on. Okay. Now by just writing this small bit of code, our startup receiver can now use it to turn the alarm on at the boot time. So now let's go to our startup receiver. So whenever it receives this intent, all it has to do is query preferences dot get dot is alarm on context, and then pull service dot set service alarm context dot is on. So yes, now this is good, and with just a little bit of code we could set the alarm. You can run the program, or maybe let's run the program, but before running the program I would like to reduce the time here, because otherwise it will again be, so I'll just make it 1000 into 5 seconds, and then I run the program. Okay, so our program is now running. So we are getting our notifications, but everything seems to be working fine. Now let's change it. Few more things. Let's just do one more thing, which is filtering foreground notifications. So now, as you see that even when we were running our applications, the notifications were being sent. So this is usually not a good user experience. So we will have to fix this, and we can fix this using broadcast intents. So let's write some more code to fix these problems. So yes, so uh, let's also see that how do we send broadcast intent, our own broadcast intent. So earlier we saw that system always sends it. Now let us see that how can we send it. So let's write some code. So public static final string action underscore show underscore notification equal to com dot pick nerd wrench dot android dot photo gallery dot show notification, and then in the towards the bottom we just on handle intent. The only thing that we have to add is send broadcast, send broadcast new intent action show notification. Now our app will send a broadcast every time the new search results are available. So as you can see, it was very easy to send the broadcast. So far we created a very simple receiver. Now let's make our dynamic receiver. So because we need that receiver for our action show notification broadcast intent. So if we just write the standard receiver, that may not be ideal for this case, because we want the notification to receive the intent only while it is live. So a standalone receiver declared in manifest would always receive the intent, while we will be using a dynamic broadcast receiver which is registered in code and not registered in the manifest. So it only receives the intent when it is available in the app. So yeah, let us start writing some code for creating a dynamic register. So we start with a new class. Let's call it visible fragment.java. So Java class visible fragment.java fragment. Let's make an abstract class and extends fragment private static void final string tag equal to visible fragment at override public void on start super dot on start intent filter equal to new intent filter poll service dot action show notification. So we have set up the intent filter in the code instead of in the manifest. And get activity dot register receiver show notification filters. We will have to create this receiver. We will soon be creating it. So currently we have given the intent filter. We have to again override another method, just like the start. Another method is the stop. Super dot on stop get activity dot on register receiver am on show notification. Now let's write our broadcast receiver, which we have already used. So private broadcast receiver am on show notification equal to new broadcast receiver. You can see that we have Android is already created as skeleton code, and in this we will just create a toast dot make text get activity got a broadcast plus intent dot get action toast dot length long. We just want it to stay a little bit longer. Dot show. So there is sorry, there is a missing parenthesis, and instead of this, yeah. So now we have created an intent filter which we earlier created in Manifest, but now we are creating in the code. So obviously this will be active only when it is running. And then we have created a broadcast receiver which is receiving a broadcast and then displaying the toast. So that is fairly easy. So it is receiving a broadcast of this type which we are broadcasting there, and it is making a toast. So now just one last step, that instead photo gallery fragment, instead of extending it from this, let's extend it from visible fragment. Now let's run our program and see if we can do the broadcast or not, and if our broadcast receiver is working or not. So let's do this, let's keep polling a few times. We are hoping that we will see a toast sometime soon. Oh yes, so we have got our toast. So our code is working. So one issue with broadcast like this is that anyone on the system can listen to it and can trigger our receivers. So let's use some private permissions to limit it to just our app. First, let's stop the execution, and we will now add a private permission. This is something which we haven't done earlier. So we go to the Android manifest file, and before any of the users permission, we write sorry, we write permission Android name com.bignerdranch dot android dot photo gallery dot private, say android dot android colon protection label equal to signature. Yeah, so and then we say uses permission android name com dot big. Yeah, so now we have defined a custom permission with the protection level of signature. So this permission now becomes a private permission, and now hopefully only our application will receive the broadcast. Now we will have to use this string exactly to make use of the private permission that we have just defined. A good approach is to copy it and then go into your code, let's say in the poll service, and I will just create uh, a variable out of it. So I'll just say public static final string and perm private equal to yes. And then wherever we have to use it, so when we do the send broadcast, where we were doing the send broadcast, so here we were doing the send broadcast, we will now do it new intent per private. So yes, so we pass it as a parameter to the send broadcast, and using the permission ensures that any application must use the same permission to receive the intent that you are sending. But what about our broadcast listeners? So somebody could create their own broadcast intent to trigger it, and our broadcast receiver will receive it. So we will have to also fix it by passing the same permission in register receiver function too. So let's go to the visible fragment class that we created earlier, and this was our receiver, register receiver, and here we have to also say poll service dot perm private null. So now only our app can trigger that receiver. So even though we are using broadcast, only our app is handling it. Now let's take this time to discuss a little bit about protection levels. We have already discussed it in the security, but let's discuss it again. So primarily there are four values. The first value is normal, and this is for protecting app functionality that will not do anything dangerous, like accessing secure personal data or sending data to the internet. So the user can see the permission before choosing to install the app, and but it is not explicitly asked to grant it. For example, the permission that we use, boot completed, falls into this level. Then the another level is the dangerous level, and this is for everything you would not use normal for, which means accessing personal data, sending and receiving things from network interface, accessing hardware, etc. So in this case, Android asks the user for an explicit go ahead before approving a dangerous permission. And the third is the signature, and this in this the system grants this permission if the app is signed with the same certificate as the declaring application, and otherwise it denies it. So if the permission is granted, the user is not notified. So this is for a functionality that is internal to an app. Then there is a signature or system. This is just like signature, but it also grants permission to all packages in the Android system image. So this is just a brief about protection level. Now let's move forward and try to pass and receive data with ordered broadcast. So we have been working with the broadcast. Now let us pass some data and receive some data. So let's go back to our visible fragment class and write in its on receive method. Let's do few more things. So far we were showing the toast. Its task is completed. Let's first create a log message so that we can log it. Canceling notification. set result code activity dot result cancelled. So we are so all we needed to do was to signal a yes or no, and we only needed the result code. So if we need to return more complicated data, then we can use a method called set result data string or set result extra. This is similar to what we used to do in the intent, that we used to do the intent extra. But if we just want to send a simpler value, then we can just use that. So yeah, if we and we can also use something called a set result, which takes an int, which takes a string, and which takes a bundle. So once our written values are set here, every subsequent receiver will be able to see or modify them. Now, in order for making use of such methods, we need to have our broadcast ordered. So we will have to write a new method to send an ordered broadcast in the poll service. So let's write some code to make it work. Let's go back to the poll service, and in the poll service we go in the beginning where we were, and so I will just copy this part, Control C, Control V, request code equal to request code, Control V, notification equal to notification. And let's go where we were actually doing the notification. So we were doing the notification here, and then we were writing this. So we will remove all that, and we will just see, even we will remove even this, and we will just say show background notification. So we are calling a method which we will soon create, notification. Okay, now let's create this method and see what we want to do. So private void show background notification int request code and notification intent I equal to new intent action show notification I dot put extra request code I dot put extra notification sent ordered broadcast I from private null activity dot result. Okay, null. So yeah, so let's try to see that what we are trying to do here. So in order to send an ordered broadcast, you may have observed that the ordered broadcast have 5 additional parameters, 1 2 3 4 5. These two were earlier present in the broadcast as well. So what these 5 parameters stand for? So the first one is a result receiver, the second one is a handler, the third one is a result code, the fourth is a result data, and the fifth is the result extra. So these are the 5 additions that we need to do, and that's why we have created a new method. The first one, the intent and the permission string was always there, the signature. So now we have to go back to our notification receiver. So we will have to create a new broadcast receiver which we can then use to receive this kind of ordered broadcast. So let's create a new class. We will call it notification receiver, and this extends broadcast receiver, private static final string tag equal to notification receiver at override. So we will have to again override the onReceive method, public void on receive context C intent I dot I received result plus get set code. Now if the get result code is not equal to activity dot result okay, then basically foreground activity has cancelled the broadcast and we just do nothing. Otherwise we get the request code equal to I dot get int extra whole service dot request code 0 notification equal to notification I dot get parsable extra whole surface dot notification. So this is similar to what we already wrote earlier. Notification compat notification manager compat notification manager equal to notification manager compat dot from the context Then the notification manager dot notify request code notification. Now we have to register our new receiver and we will have to assign it a priority. So just like last time, we will go into the manifest file, and earlier we had registered our receiver here. Now we will register our new receiver just after that. So let me just copy this, paste, and then instead of this will be dot notification receiver. Android exported equal to false. Yeah, and then the intent filter. Now I will have to also give a priority here. Android priority equal to -99. Then action Android name. So let me copy this. Action Android 12v photo gallery dot show notification. Okay, so now we have given it a priority, we have defined our receiver, our new receiver. Now let's run our application. So earlier you were saying that even when our application was in foreground, the notifications were appearing. Now this will not happen. That as long as our application is in foreground, no notifications will appear, which is a good user experience because I need not to be notified when I am actually using the same app. So this is fine. Okay, so with this code, you have covered almost all the concepts that we set out to cover in the course. I hope that these videos will help you in writing your future applications. As said earlier, the code code examples have been taken from Beginner Advanced Guide, so you can go to that and you will find these program codes available in the solutions, and maybe using these videos you can make a better sense out of them. So thank you for attending this course and happy learning Android. Thank you.